Hello everyone and welcome to this video where today I'm going to be filming my 25-week pregnancy update. So as always, if you see me looking down, I have got my notebook here in front of me and I have got lots to cover this week, including symptoms, my 25-week midwife appointment, a gestational diabetes update, antenatal class and baby academy a class as well. So I'll start by talking through some of the symptoms that I've been experiencing. So in the evenings, I'm still getting so uncomfortable. I'm finding it really hard to find a position to sit and lie in. I'm having to switch how I'm sat every 5 or 10 minutes just to make sure I'm comfortable. So yeah, that's definitely getting worse now, I think, as the time's going on. And then also during the night whilst I'm asleep, I'm still getting hip pain on the odd nights. I think, as I've said before, because I'm sleeping on my sides now, I tend to sleep on one side most of the night, which obviously can be quite uncomfortable on my hip. So I'm just waking up and switching sides. That doesn't happen every night, just every maybe once or twice a week it will happen. Same with leg cramps. I have had a couple this week, but again, it's not happening every night. Maybe once or twice a week I'll wake up and have cramp in my leg. I've still been getting a really uncomfortable feeling in my ribs, so it's right at the top of my rib cage. I think because I'm sat down most of the day with my job. It's not hunched over position, but when I'm stood up my body is more elongated, so it's not feeling so crushed, but by the end of the day that can be really uncomfortable, especially if I've had a day where I'm at work or just been sat down lots. I find leaning back a little bit is much more helpful, but also making sure I'm not leaning back too much either. I have also had a couple of very slight headaches this week, not enough where I've needed to take tablets, but kind of towards the end of the day where I'm thinking maybe should I have a little early night, because I can feel a small headache coming along kind of thing. But yeah, nothing too bad there. I have also had a little bit of a problem with constipation again this week. It usually resolves itself and it's not an ongoing issue every day, but sometimes I'll have a few days where it's worse in the week and then other days where it's fine. So that is it for updates through the week. I did also have my 25-week midwife appointment at the start of the week, so I'll go on now and talk you through what's happened whilst I was there. So when I first got there, she checked my blood pressure, which was absolutely fine. I was also asked to provide a urine sample, and she always tests this as soon as I go in whilst I'm there. This was showing 2 pluses again, but as mentioned last week, I'd had a lot of my gestational diabetes readings that had been over. So she did just say to me about making sure I contact the team again, as on the morning of my midwife appointment I had my breakfast reading over, so it kind of made sense that I was 2 pluses, and I planned to ring the diabetic nurses later in the day anyway. She then went on to have a feel of my stomach just to get a feeling of where baby sat. She did say that she wouldn't measure my stomach this time as I've got 3 growth scans booked in, so she said they wouldn't worry about doing that at this appointment. The baby's heartbeat she listened into, which was all sounding really good. They recorded it at 148 beats per minute, and yeah, it was nice to be able to hear the heartbeat again. She did just check that I was aware about having my anti-D injection, as I'm rhesus negative, at my next midwife appointment, which is when I'm 28 weeks. However, I already was aware of that because they contacted me at the time. She did just make sure I've had all my other vaccines and that they're up to date. I have only got my RSV vaccine left to have, which I'm also having on the week I turn 28 weeks. So I did just check with her that it's okay to have that and my anti-D on the same week, and she said yep, it's absolutely fine, just might mean you have a bit more of an achy arm that week. She did just ask me a few questions as well, such as if I'd had any headaches, and as mentioned on previous weeks, there has been times where I have had headaches that lasted a few days, although that seems to have resolved a lot more in recent weeks. I did just mention it to her. And because I'd kind of had moments like that before my pregnancy, she wasn't too concerned. She said if it obviously happens again, or if I get disturbed vision or any swelling, then just to give the phone line a ring that she's given me, and I'll probably have to pop in and see the team. I did also mention about the leg cramps as well that I've been getting. I did say I know this is probably really like a common thing to get at this stage, which she agreed it is. There's not really too much you can do about it, and it's nothing to worry about unless the area is red. However, with my leg it's not red, so that's fine. But yeah, that was all she did at the appointment. She did give me my MAP B1 form as well, which was good, as I needed that for work this week. But yeah, that was everything for my 25-week midwife appointment. So I'll move on now and give a bit of an update on my gestational diabetes. So as mentioned, I had a few readings over since contacting them last week. So I was planning on ringing them first thing on Monday morning after my appointment. So they gave me a phone call back, and they got me to go through all my reading since my last phone call, and what meals I'd had on those days. As I've been given the opportunity to change a few things on my diet, she did say, "Are you ready to start metformin now?" Which I agreed to, as I feel like personally I had made all the dietary changes that I could, and it was at a point now where that really wasn't making a difference, and I was really having to limit my diet to certain things. So yeah, I agreed to go on to metformin, and she just ran through a few things to do with starting that. So they was going to start me on the highest dose possible, but you can't just go straight into taking that. You have to work your way up. So on day 1 and 2 you just take 1 tablet with breakfast, and then on day 3 and 4 you take 2 tablets with breakfast, and day 5 and 6 you take 2 with breakfast, 1 with dinner, and day 7 and 8 you take 2 with breakfast and 2 with dinner. You're then on the maximum dose for metformin, and yeah, that should help bring all the readings down, where I have higher readings on certain meals. She did explain that lots of people have gastro side effects with taking that medication, so if I get any issues, then just to drop down to the amount of tablets I was taking before getting any issues. But yeah, she also said obviously if I get 2 or more readings out of target again, then just to give them a call back, and then they would reassess again from there. Apologies as well from last week. When I came back to edit the video, I realised that I've completely been mispronouncing the medication all the way through. It's metformin that I'm on, and yeah, I didn't realise until I came back to edit it that I've been saying that. I have the worst forgetful brain at the minute. I keep calling people by the wrong names as well, so it's just my brain not remembering names at the moment. So that was everything for my gestational diabetes update. I'll go through now and talk about what we did this week at my antenatal class. This again was a midwife led session, and it was called Helping You and Your Baby Through Labour and Birth. So in that session she covered lots of different topics such as pain relief, birth partners and who you might want there during labour, visiting hours. They can't particularly comment on the area that you're in as such, as they tend to come in from a different area, but she spoke about what the general rules are around visiting hours. She spoke about baby checks and what checks they do on baby once they are born, and things such as giving a baby a vitamin K injection. You can either choose to have the injection or drops. The drops are more spread out across a few weeks, I believe, or the injection is just given there whilst you're in hospital. She spoke about length of stay and how long you might expect to stay in hospital, depending on whether you have a very straightforward birth or a C-section or complications and things like that. She went through induction and the process of that, what it can involve, what they try, and if that doesn't work, what they then escalate that to. She spoke about birthing positions, which I found quite useful, as I don't remember it being something I was really spoken to about the first time round, so I took that on board this time. She also mentioned about transfer of care again if you're say having a home birth and when they would transfer you into the hospital. She also spoke about having a midwife visit after you've given birth, so when the midwife comes around to your house and just checks on you and the baby a few days after you've given birth. I will say during the last couple of midwife sessions, although I found them to be really informative and very useful information, personally I sometimes struggle to hear lots of medical information all at once. I think when they're going quite in depth in those sessions, I can sit there feeling quite overwhelmed, which I definitely did feel this time, and I remember feeling it the first time I went to the classes too. But yeah, that wasn't on them, that was just me personally not liking to hear those medical things so much. So that was everything that they covered at the antenatal class this week. As mentioned, I did start metformin around now. I haven't found it personally to be too bad. On each day that I've had to increase my tablets, it has given me a bit of stomach pain, especially in the evenings, but once my body's kind of got used to the increase, then that seems to have gone, which is good, and hopefully my body just gets used to taking it now, and it'll help bring down my levels as well, which it seems to have so far. I did also hand in my MATB1 form this week as well. I did this formally by email to my employer with all my dates. I gave them the date that I plan to start maternity leave, and all being well, that's going to be mid-April. I plan to go on maternity leave when I'm around 37-38 weeks. However, obviously with everything as it is, that will just depend on my growth scans and when they plan to induce me. If they do plan to induce me, we'll just have to wait and see and play it by ear how that turns out. We did also do another baby academy class this weekend. Again, free online classes. They're really great, really useful information, really recommend them. So this week we did the hypnobirthing class. This was a 3-hour long session, so this was the longest one so far. I wasn't quite sure how I would find the information in these classes. However, there were some things that I thought were quite useful, some things that won't necessarily work for me but may work for others, and as I said, they're free classes, so I really recommend if you are pregnant that you just do them anyway. So I'll just run through some of the topics that they covered in the hypnobirthing class. I may be looking down through this one as there was lots of things that I noted down. So they cover things such as hormones, anchors, if things like do you like listening to music and things like that, getting the baby into optimal positions for birth, so what you can do to increase your chances of the baby being head down and not back to back. They also spoke about yoga, pregnancy yoga. They suggested a few places where you can watch some videos. They spoke about breathing techniques, which they actually gave you the chance to give a go in the session, and when to use certain techniques as well. Personally, for me, I really struggle with breathing techniques. I don't find they relax me. I think I focus on them too much, and then that becomes a problem in itself, but I know they work really well for certain people. They spoke about a TENS machine and how to use them and how they can be really useful. They spoke about pregnancy massage as well, and ways like if you're even having an epidural, if you can't massage your back, then even like hand massage can be widely used as well, which is good. They spoke about different birthing positions, which was a really useful topic again, different aromatherapy techniques, and also through some positive affirmations and how you can use them to create a positive mindset through labour and birth. I will say that this week's session did feel the longest out of all of them. Obviously it was the longest, but maybe that they could have condensed it down slightly. Some things were really useful that we'll take away from the session, some things not so much, but was glad that we went to it anyway. And finally, I thought I would just touch on a few things that we bought for baby this week. So we have made a few bigger purchases this week, so that's good to know that we finally got those in place. So the first thing that we got was our Moses basket. I was really unsure whether I was going to get one this time, because I had one with my daughter and I just absolutely never used it. She never settled in it. However, I thought it might be a good option just to keep downstairs in case I need to put baby down while I'm making dinner or anything like that. So we've gone with a Claire de Lune. I found one on a really good offer on Matalan actually. So I'll have to see when that arrives what it looks like, but fingers crossed that'll look really nice, and that'll do the job perfectly. And the big purchase we did make this month was actually buying our nursery furniture set. So we've gone for a 3-piece set which has a cot bed, a changing table with drawers and a wardrobe. We've decided to go with the Tutti Bambini oak set, which looks lovely. I ordered it on Boots. They had quite a good offer on Tutti Bambini at the moment. They then also take 15% off if you use the code baby15, I think, and you do also get a lot of Boots points back. I think I earned £40 of Boots points with this purchase, so it worked out the best value all round to do that, and we wanted to get it whilst we knew it was on offer too, so hopefully that's going to be arriving next week. So that's everything update wise for this week. So I'll go ahead now and show you the bump update at 25 weeks pregnant. So this is the bump update at 25 weeks and 6 days. So that's everything for my 25-week pregnancy update. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.